The larger the collection, the less likely you are to wear something over and over. So when you tend to wear something over and over sporadically throughout a year, it's usually memorable, it's usually noteworthy. And in this video, I'm bringing you the 15 fragrances that I wore the absolute most in the year 2021. So stay tuned. In no particular order, minus the last three really. I kind of wore those the most and put them at the end. But starting with one that's new to the collection this year that was an instant classic, absolute love at first sniff for me, that being MAISON MARGIELA Replica at the Barber's. It's no secret, I love a good barbershop fragrance. This is a great barbershop fragrance. Has more of the spicy aromatic nature that I really like, kind of that Zaharoff type of style, but doesn't quite smell like that one. This is more on the level of like a Chanel Platinum Egoiste type of barbershop style, but more so the lather, the shaving foam, the shaving cream type of smell. Very authentic. I love this one. This puts me in the shaving mood and mentally brings me there when I smell this aroma. Not a beast in performance by any means, but it's average to slightly above average, like a 6-7 hour fragrance on my skin. Good with that. Smells great, refined, put together. The quality's there. It's not breaking any molds. It's a timeless classic scent DNA that's been done a bunch of times. But in my opinion, it's definitely done right here, and one that I just found myself going back to from time to time. Definitely got more than a handful of wears in the however many months I've owned this one now. Definitely one of my most worn for the year. Replica at the Barber's. This has to be the cheapie I wore the absolute most this year. Mostly out of the shower. I did bring it with me in my bag to the gym a few times this year as well. That being Sean John 3 AM. There was one stretch that I was wearing it pretty regularly and came across a 100 ml for $13 at Burlington and went ahead and bought it. So I have a full-size backup bottle when this 50 ml runs low one day. Unique and super cheap. Another one, not winning any performance awards by any way, shape, or form. 3 hour fragrance at best on my skin. Spraying your clothes, you might get about 4 hours. As you saw when I sprayed it, one of the best atomizers out there. But the aroma, it's got this unique gin and tonic smell, a little bit of citrus up top, fig leaf in its heart, a little bit of soft synthetic leather in the background, but mostly this gin and tonic type of smell that I really do dig. It adds this fresh, spicy, almost boozy-like quality, but more so this crisp, fresh, spicy aspect to it. Kind of overshadows the fig leaf, though it blends pretty well together. For me, it overshadows it a bit. It's mostly a gin and tonic smell, and I really dig that in fragrances. I do have my fair share of fragrances like that, and believe it or not, the cheapest one of all of them, which is this, is my favorite of all my gin and tonic water type of smelling fragrances. Look, it's polarizing. Some people think this smells terrible, and I get it. It's different. I actually really enjoy it for what it is. It's polarizing, but I lean to the side of it polarizes me to the oh my, where have you been in my collection all these years? That's how I feel about it. So much so that I have a backup bottle. One of my most worn, definitely for cheapies, Sean John 3 AM. So now that I secured a 75 ml tester backup, I started to wear this one a lot more this year. Hell, it's going to be in this week's fragrance rotation because I wore it out the shower 2-3 nights ago. That being the famed Mercedes-Benz cologne. You can see that juice level starting to drop more. That's mostly from this year because it was so hard to find for so long that I was really scarce about spraying it real heavy or wearing it too often, because it's so similar to Dior Homme cologne, and I have a few fragrances that smell this scent profile, including Dior Homme cologne, Chanel Allure Homme Sport Cologne Sport, Jimmy Choo Man Ice, all similar in the same family. So now that I have another bottle, and I'm probably good forever, if not for a very long time, now I spray it pretty heavy. Now I go 10-12 sprays, damn near bathe in it, this nice scent bubble going of this lovely, juicy lemonade citrus smell. I've worn this one more this year than, and I've had it for a couple of years now, and I've definitely wore it more times this year than the other 2 years I've had it combined, honestly. I couldn't remember exactly how many times. It's double-digit wearings for sure. How far into double-digit wearings I don't necessarily recall, but I've definitely sprayed this one quite a bit this year, and like I said, that juice level's starting to head south a little bit because I'm going to spray it again. It's such a good scent profile. If you ever get the opportunity to get this one for a decent price and you want something, one of, in my opinion, the best mega citrus, mega fresh fragrances ever created, do yourself a favor and get this. It's definitely one of my most worn in 2021. Now this one is a new release from this year. I was very excited to get the day it went live for sale online from Sephora. I bought it. I was actually on an email waiting list for when it dropped. I was super excited to get this release, and it released to a lot of mixed reviews. I actually really like it for what it is, and found myself sporadically going back to it starting in the spring. I was actually in Chicago filming footage for the Zed Creators launch that we did earlier in the year. That being Polo Cologne Intense EDP, the modern version of Polo Green. I really like this one. I know there's a lot of people that don't care for it, but it's fresh, it's a little soapy, it's very green, it's got some violet leaf, it's got a lot of different characteristics that I really enjoy in a fragrance. Yeah, it's not the kind of performer people wanted it to be. With a name like Polo Cologne Intense Eau de Parfum, you're expecting like an 8+ hour fragrance. Definitely not that. For me, 5-6 hour fragrance. I'm cool with that. I was cool with it from the start. Yes, it surprised me. I expected it to perform better, but for what it is, I love the scent profile, because scent profile is always number one to me. There's a lot of very fresh green aspects about this. It fits the theme, it fits the color, and this does to me strike me as if Polo was a new release. This is what it would be. This is, for all intents and purposes, the modern version of classic Polo. It's got modern day synthetics in it. It smells like what a new release, if Ralph Lauren Polo was a brand new line in 2021, this is it. So for what they intended for it to be, I see the vision. I understand where they were going with it. I appreciate the scent profile for what it is. I'm happy with the performance, and I found myself going back to it more and more. Great for the spring and summer, but also great for the fall. If you're a fan of fresh green fragrances, definitely a solid release in my opinion. Not everybody's going to agree with me. That's okay. Everything's subjective, but it's one that I found myself going back to over and over, and probably in the upcoming spring, I'll be going back to it again. Ralph Lauren Polo Cologne Intense EDP. One of my favorite fresh niche fragrances, a guilty pleasure of mine that's not the easiest to get your hands on from what I understand these days. I've had it for a while now, a few years. I've done a full review in the past on it, and it always makes my summer niche list. Seems to be, this was the year I wore it the most actually, is MANCERA Wave Musk. You can see that juice levels dropping even more on this one. I really love this. Fresh green, salty, aquatic, citrus, juicy, light and airy, but still has some good staying power. A bit unique without being strange. It's a believable grass note in here too. It smells like fresh cut grass by the beach at the same time, because it's got a sea salt note in it. It's got sea notes, if I remember correctly. There's some grapefruit and citruses up top in it. It's a clean musk. This is a very enjoyable fragrance. I love this. This is one of my favorite niche fragrances I've ever bought, I've ever smelled. This was a blind buy, and a great blind buy on my part, because I really love this one. I will always recommend this to everybody. If you're looking for a different freshie that performs decent, has a bit uniqueness to it, and is decent quality. It's not that synthetic. I mean, it's not the most natural niche fragrance I've ever smelled, but it's definitely a step above a designer fragrance in my opinion. I always recommend this one to people because it's different. It's a different take on something fresh in your collection. So if you can find this one in the $80 range, or even less if you're lucky, it's a great buy in my opinion at that point. I forgot what I paid. It's been a couple of years now, but this year was the year I wore it the most actually. I kept going back to the well on this one. It's MANCERA Wave Musk. So this is kind of a 2-in-1 situation right here at this spot, because they're the two newest releases from this one particular house, and I keep going back to these over and over. One is extremely new, one is since the beginning of summer, and you'll see the juice levels dropping. That being Zaharoff Signature Tobacco. You can see that juice level dropping. I've had this bottle 2 weeks. And Zaharoff Signature Rosé. You see that juice level dropping as well. I keep going back to these. These are so well composed, great performing, not absurd performance, not too room filling, annoying, but present, pronounced, attention grabbing, and unique. Rose incense, aromatic tobacco that's got a great blend of booziness and sweetness and woods, smokiness. It's dry and herbal. Like I said before, it's got a share of aromatics. Stellar releases from the house of Zaharoff, and in the short amount of time I've had them, I keep going back to them. I wear them all the time. As a matter of fact, at the releasing of this video, this is going to be my scent of the day. I plan on wearing this tomorrow. At the recording of this is what I'm going to wear tomorrow. So definitely stuff I've been wearing a lot that I keep going back to because it's just so damn unique and so damn good. Zaharoff Signature Tobacco and Signature Rosé. This was a total blind buy that I was lucky enough to pick up a tester from Vinba Fragrances, which there's always a link in my video descriptions if you want to check out what they have. They have a lot of heavily discounted niche fragrances. And this was my second full bottle from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, that being Aqua Celestia Forte. I really, really dig this. Refined fresh green scent. Mint, petitgrain, lime, bright. Oh, so much quality too. Versatile. Super, super, super versatile. If you're the type that only likes high quality fragrances, you don't mess with anything designer, you turn your nose up at cheap fragrances and stuff like that, and you only mess with quality, this is a signature scent worthy fragrance right here. This is that kind of scent profile with the right type of performance that in a warmer climate, this can be every single day for you, whether you're wearing a tank top by the beach or you're wearing a suit and tie. It is very well put together, very refined, different, but not strange different. It's all about fresh greens. It's not too much citrus, it's not too herbal, it's not too woody, it's not too musky. It's blended to perfection, as you would expect from Francis Kurkdjian. I've never smelled an MFK fragrance that I didn't think was magnificent. This is nothing short of magnificent. I'm not saying a non-magnificent one doesn't exist out there. I just haven't smelled it yet, and this is one I kept going back to. I featured it in a few blind smell and rate videos, most notably with Justin. Shout out to you, Justin, if you see this. This stuff's great. If you haven't gotten your nose on this, get your nose on this. This was one of the most successful blind buys I've had on niche fragrances in a long time because I knew I would like it. I just didn't know how much I would love it. I kept going back to this one, and I will again once spring hits. Maison Francis Kurkdjian, Aqua Celestia Forte. One that I would sporadically wear that's one of my all-time favorite men's fragrances. This was kind of a turning point fragrance for me that made me take my scents a bit more serious many years ago. I really started to put it through the process again this year. I wore it a lot more in 2021 than I did in 18, 19, and 20 combined, I think, since I got this bottle. That being the original Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. I've really started to make this juice level drop. This is one of my all-time favorite fragrances. That'd be great. There we go. I was going to say it'd be great if it would focus. One of my all-time favorite fragrances. I had a gift set in the past of a 4.2 ounce with a 40 ml like this. Not my first bottle, not my first rodeo with this. It's a timeless classic in my opinion. There's guys to this day, this is their one fragrance in their wardrobe. This is their fragrance wardrobe, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. And I understand it because ladies like the way this smells. It's a compliment machine. Yes, it's not a big beast mode performer. It's like a 4 or 5 hour fragrance on my skin. Cool with that. Yes, the O Intense does perform better, but it's a bit harsher, I find. Overall, this is still the best scent. That's the better performer. But this is the best scent, and I've just really, like last year, I wore O Intense more, and I decided this year was going to be the year. I'm going to go back to my old tried and true favorite, and I've spent quite a bit of time with it. Like I said, the juice level has dropped exponentially from where it was before, and eventually I'll get down enough to where I'll grab maybe a 200 ml or another 4.2 ounce bottle. But this is one that last year I didn't wear enough, and like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite fragrances. And it's one I'll always have sprays of in my collection. And this year, I just made it a point to spray it more often because I overspray this one a lot. I spray it really heavy, like 15 plus sprays every time I spray it, which for me, I believe that to be a little much for this fragrance, especially in the first hour. It's a heavy projector, it's light and airy in the first hour, but I love the damn scent so much. And some of you understand where I'm coming from. This is the fragrance that really changed the game for me. Many, many years ago, the launch year actually, in '05 if I remember correctly. And I definitely wore it quite a bit this year. That being the original Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. With the 3.0 version coming out this year and being just a fresh bowl of fruit, mango and just melon. It's this lovely bowl of fruit smell. For me, my favorite still being the 2.0, that being Summer Vibes 2.0 from Authenticity Perfumes. That juice level is all from this year. I love this stuff. Citrus medley up top, lime, tangerine, sweet orange, big dose of soapy aromatic lavender, super mega fresh and bright. Powerful, really projects. I get about 9 or 10 hours on my skin, not 12 hours. It's a 50% oil concentration. It's advertised to get 12 hours. I get about 9 or 10, which for as fresh as this is, way more than enough. This is mega, mega fresh. It's still floating all around in the air. There's a cannabis note here that adds this dry green herbal smell. It doesn't really smell like weed or anything like that. It's just lovely. There's a slight woody creaminess in the background once you get into the dry down. It's a beautiful fragrance. It really is. For being super fresh, it's just going to smell like, oh, that's just another random fresh fragrance in the opening blast. But as it starts to change and settle in, it becomes its own thing. Like I said, that cannabis note, the woods, it really changes and defines the character of this fragrance. I know not everybody's a fan of this one. I know a lot of people are, but as with all fragrances, not everything's for everyone. Not sure if they still have any of this available from Authenticity Perfumes. You can check with the link below and 10% off down in the description. The 3.0 version does not smell like this. Like I said, it smells like a bowl of fruits and melon, but this, super aromatic citrus up top. If you're looking for mega fresh and performs, see if you can get your hands on the green label. That's the second version. The original version was yellow label. This is an intense version. This is 2.0. 3.0 orange label. That's the newest one. My favorite is definitely the green label 2.0, as you can tell by the juice level. One of my most worn fragrances, Summer Vibes 2.0. Moving forward, this will probably make this video every year from now on because I wear this. This is one of the fragrances I wear the absolute most. Might have been what I wore the second most. There's one fragrance that hands down I wore the most this year, and you'll see why at the very end. It's the last fragrance. But this one, man, Abercrombie and Fitch First Instinct together. Those of you that have been watching me for a while, you've seen me talk about this one many times. I have several bottles of this. I love this stuff. It's got an Invictus Aqua smell. So good. Invictus Aqua being my favorite fragrance. This, I'm able to conserve my bottle of Invictus Aqua. This curves the itch when I'm in the mood for that scent profile because this smells like an amalgamation of 3 different fragrances. Those of you that have heard me talk about it before, you know where I'm going with this. The original First Instinct meets YSLY meets Invictus Aqua. A healthy dose of Invictus Aqua. This is a grapefruit, watery, aquatic, ambergris bomb. Super synthetic, but it smells great. It smells great. I've gotten several compliments wearing this fragrance from this particular bottle. Not a beast in performance. I get 4 to 5 hours of life on my skin, but the first 2 hours it is very strong. It is very strong, mainly at first hour and a half. Sometimes it'll be the first 2 hours, but you can overspray that. You can accidentally overspray and it be too much in the opening. Now, refreshing every couple hours is a different story, but that opening is bright and powerful. If you see this one at the rack stores, this is one of those fragrances that I recommend blind buying, giving a try. This is one of those dice rolls that, you know, normally I don't encourage you guys to blind buy. I encourage you to sample first. I blind buy so you don't have to, is one of my mottos. This one, I hope you end up liking it because, you know, people get mad at me if they buy something. They're like, oh, you said it was great. I don't like it. It don't smell like that. It's the risk of blind buying. Just because I like it doesn't mean you will. But I love the hell out of this stuff. And I'm willing to take the heat in the event that you don't like it. Because I believe in it that much. It's cheap. and it smells great, and it's an awesome alternative. Probably my favorite, yeah, it is. It's my favorite alternative from Victus Aqua. One of my most worn fragrances, Abercrombie and Fitch First Instinct together. As soon as I got this one, it's a new release from this year, I couldn't stop wearing it. It made every rotation video for like a month straight. I just kept going back to it, because it's... EJ needed a fresh fragrance. He did. A lot of heavy wears, a lot of spicy stuff, a lot of gourmand stuff. HAPPYLAND was full of dense fragrances. He needed something on the fresher side, and he got that with Shameless, and it was better than I could have hoped for. I was nervous when I saw the note breakdown. I thought, oh my God, he made an Aventus. Jesus, why? Why would he make an Aventus? There was subtle differences. It's citruses instead of apple and bergamot, and then there's added lavender. There was no rose. Like, there was a few differences, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna judge it till I smell it. And when I smelled it, there's a faint resemblance from the black currant and the citruses and stuff like that to Aventus briefly, and then it turns into a blue fragrance. And I love blue fragrances, so I was so blown away by how this ended up smelling, because the note breakdown will tell you this, paint this picture for you of the HAPPYLAND version of Aventus, and it's not that. I was so happy that it was not that. Let me spray it in the air one more time. Orange, black currant. That's the main players I get up top. Little bit of lavender. As it starts to calm down, bright, soapy lavender. Heavy dose of vanilla sets in. Ambergris from the start and just gets stronger and stronger as it dries. It's mainly an ambergris base, I find, which gives it this aquatic feel. Not too salty, not too marine, but it gives an aquatic feel. Almost an ambroxan type of ambergris, where it's kind of like mixing just a little pinch of Aventus meets Aqua Amara meets Dior Sauvage. It's kind of like the greatest hits of mass appealing fragrances is in this bottle with Shameless. I know that was a lot of information really fast. I'm sure you can see how happy I am talking about this, because I was so impressed with what EJ ended up deciding to go with when he made his fresh fragrance that was missing from his collection. And I think he hit it out the park. I think it's the best fragrance from the house, because it's the easiest to wear, easiest to, it's the mass appealing fragrance. You guys know I love my mass appealing fragrances. This is the HAPPYLAND Studio Mass Appealing Fragrance. He's got a ton of great fragrances, but for me, this is the one I just continue to reach for, and I'll continue to reach for the most. HAPPYLAND Shameless. So these last four are definitely the ones I wore the most besides First Instinct together. Starting with this one, I got it in the summer, and I immediately started wearing it more and more and more and more. There was times when I wore it 2 days in a row. It would make multiple weeks in a row on weekly rotations. That being Raja Parfums Oceania. Oceania? I'm still not 100% certain on how to pronounce it, but take a deep breath, because I have a lot to say about this one. It's got a complex note breakdown, but it's got a much more simple approach to the scent profile, even though every time I go back to it, I get a little something different. So it's got a floral core. Its heart is iris and violet, and it's a fresh, bright type of floral nature. It's not real powdery. There is a slight powderiness to it. There's all sorts of citrus. If I remember correctly, it's like five or six different citrus notes in the top. It's just a blast of beautiful freshness. Not the highest quality scent profile from Raja Parfums, but it definitely works. There's a slight synthetic nature to it, and it's got this watery aquatic marine by the beach with a white button down with your sleeves rolled up. Thin, real thin Oxford with the sleeves rolled up. Leather sandals, some thigh length shorts. I don't know, that's the kind of attire I visualize when I smell this scent profile on vacation. This is a niche vacation fragrance, and the performance surprised me. It still surprises me because it's not heavy. It does not wear heavy. It wears super light. Forget about it that it's there type of light and airy, but still pops up all throughout the day to remind you, I'm still here, I'm still on your skin. People around me can still smell you. People around you can still smell you. That's the type of performance. It's sneaky. 8, 9, 10, 11 hours later. it'll remind me, I'll get a waft that it's still there. It doesn't push far, it doesn't push heavy, but it does hang around for a very long time. This was one of my favorite pickups of the year. This is one that became an instant classic and immediate heavy use in my rotation as soon as I got it. I was not blown away on the first impressions, but every spray, it started to blow me away and make me fall in love more and more, to the point to where I think it's my favorite fragrance from the house because it's what I enjoy wearing the absolute most. And I have a lot of incredible Roger Parfums fragrances, but this is the one I just wore the absolute most this year. For one reason or another, it was just easy to grab, easy to roll with, and super enjoyable every single spray. That being Roger Parfums Oceania. These last three I don't think will be much of a surprise because if you've watched me sporadically throughout the year, you've seen this featured. If you watch the weekly rotation, you've seen these featured heavily. Starting with YSL EDT. So I had been missing out for a long time with this one. I kept going back to it once I got it. I love this fragrance. It's one of my favorite fragrances. I think it's my favorite light blue fragrance. Fresher than your average blue, geared towards the warmer weather. That's what I deem a light blue fragrance. Mass appealing, just fresher. I do believe it to be my favorite in the line. If I had to get rid of I have Live Intense, I have Eau Fraiche, I have EDP, I have EDT. If I could only keep one, I'm keeping EDT. I like it that much. I get above average performance, not beast mode performance like the EDP has. I get 6-7 hours, good with that. I've gotten many compliments, even from the first wearing, I've gotten compliments with this fragrance, so it's great at grabbing attention. I love the way it smells on me. I just couldn't stop going back to it. It's just an addictive smell for me. It's no secret. I just finished talking about how much I love mass appealing fragrances. I love blue fragrances. It's kind of my thing. You know, I don't want something super challenging. I want to smell great. It's just what it is. Great for me, great for those around me, whatever. I want to think it smells great. And I think this smells great. Like I said, I was super late to the party, but once I got my hands on it, once I arrived at the party, I was ready to partake. I love this stuff. Yes, all of the flankers are great. The line as a whole, I think, is a great line. The Y line, one of the best designer lines for me personally. But as much as everybody loves the EDP, and I give the EDP its fair share of praise, for me, best of the line, one I wear the most, EDT. There's no secret to this one. I recommend it all the time. Every time somebody asks me what's the best niche fragrance to start with, what's a safe niche fragrance to blind buy, all these different things, it's always the same answer. MANCERA Cedrat Boisé. I love this stuff. I've been through a 10 ml decant. I've started to put dent in this bottle. Basket of fruits. It's always my easy way of describing it. Wicker basket full of a variety of fruits. Apples, grape, pineapple, banana, whatever. Basket of mixed fruits. The reason I say a wicker basket, because of that wood smell. That dry wood smell. There's black currant here that adds a little bit of a tart citrus to it. Tart fruity citrus type of smell. This stuff is just so good. Above average performance for me, not a beast like the old bottles used to be. 7-8 hours of longevity still for me. Good with it, good. I've heard rumor of an intense, can't confirm nor deny. If that does happen, of course I'm gonna get a bottle because this is one of my favorite fragrances. This is one of the most recommended fragrances by me to you because I just think it's that good. If you just want a signature scent that's better than a designer as far as quality and performance, better than your average designer. You know, your Sauvages and your run-of-the-mill blue fragrances, Acqua di Gio, Versace fragrances, things like that. You want something better than that, but you still don't want to spend a lot of money. From discounters, anywhere from $70 to $100, depends on where you find it. 70, 80 bucks, you're doing great for this one, I think. It can be that one fragrance, signature scent worthy, versatile, date night, work, day off, summertime, wintertime. Never a bad time to wear this fragrance. It's that good. It's one I wear sporadically, year round. And I'm sure it'll make this video next year too. One of my most worn is definitely MANCERA Cedrat Boisé. So the juice level alone should tell you this is the most worn fragrance of the year for me. It's what I wear the most. I actually have another bottle that's open that I've sprayed out of as well, not just this bottle. I've gone through relentless testing, lab samples, and so on, because I'm behind the creation. Zaharoff and TLTG Reviews, Business Over Pleasure. My lovely creation. My beauty. Creamy. Man. Bright, fresh, spicy, creamy, a little powdery, a slight smoky nuance in the woody dry down. Just, I love this fragrance. Thank you to everybody that bought a bottle. I greatly appreciate you. I'm so happy that so many of you enjoy this fragrance. I doubt you enjoy it as much as I do, because it's what I wanted it to be. It's 100% what I wanted it to be. It's not in your face. It's perfect for an office setting. It's business over pleasure. It's built for a specific purpose. Has a little bit of a blue versatile aspect to it where it's very mass appealing, but a little different. It doesn't smell like everything else. It's not a super soapy iris. It's not a lipsticky iris. And it's not overtaken by the iris, but the core of it is natural Florentine iris. Lovely earthy ginger that adds this bright, crispy, slightly creaminess in the heart. I've talked about it countless times. I've done an individual video on it, and it's been in so many weekly rotations. It's unreal. I love this fragrance. It's 100% what I've worn the most this year. I mean, look at the juice level. That's strictly from this year, from spring. No, I got this bottle in the winter, because this was the final batch before the production batches. So I have a production bottle that's open as well. And the reason I say that, because the production bottles have silver atomizers and collars. This is the standard copper for Zaharoff Signature Pour Homme. But I love this stuff. I was blessed to be in a position to create this fragrance. I'm forever thankful to George for allowing me to have this opportunity, and to all of you that supported the project and myself and purchased the bottle. And I want to thank you for that. And this is probably going to be number one for a long time, because I do have several bottles. I have a lifetime supply. I had to make sure I never run out of this. So I have a handful of bottles of this fragrance. So more than likely, this will be last in the most worn video every year, probably for as long as I do fragrance content on YouTube. Most worn fragrance of 2021 for sure. Zaharoff and TLTG Reviews, Business Over Pleasure. Well, that's the 15. Thank you to everybody that stuck with me the whole way through. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What did you wear the most this year? If you can recall, do you write it down? Do you use Fragrantica? Is there a certain app where you track your scent of the day? Do you do like I do and use your Instagram page to track everything? That's how I go about it. I just scroll and look back. And I'm pretty meticulous about remembering, for the most part, when it comes to situations with my fragrances. It's just a thing for me. I love fragrances. These are what I wore the most this year. This is clearly not all I wore this year. These are just the ones I went back to the absolute most. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of the 15 I wore the most this year and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later, because I like them so much, I just kept wearing them. Have a good one, guys.